As you would have boarded, you would have found an All Aboard magazine on your seat. There is a route map in the back of that All Aboard magazine.
In a few moments, the brakeman or conductor will be walking through your coach car to collect your ticket. So please have your tickets out and ready.
That route map will follow our journey to the White Pass Summit at mile marker 20.
Conductor when they walk through your train car.
There is information on the side of everything we'll see and talk about, so you guys can follow along with our narrator today. Once again, if you guys do have any questions, feel free to let me know. My name is Isaiah, and welcome aboard.
You guys warm?
Yeah.
Turn the stove off. How about that? It'll get cold later. Alrighty, good afternoon. Tickets, please. Thank you. Have they done the ticket announcements overhead yet?
They did.
We love when they do their job. Gold stars. Amazing. Welcome aboard, everyone. How we doing?
Great.
Thank you. Right on.
Welcome back. This is from our trip to Alaska. We were in Skagway on this day and we took the Yukon Railway White Pass tour. This is our second trip to Alaska, but this was the first time we did the Yukon Railway or the White Pass Railway.
Yeah, it was nice. There were a lot of cars on this, a lot of people, let's put it that way, on the train excursion. And it was just beautiful. The inside of the trains were all either new, refurbished, but they were all the same type of trains that would have been back when it was originally built.
So you'll hear from one of the conductors in the beginning. He told you a little bit about the White Pass Railway. This was a narrated tour, and it was about 3 hours long. Took us about 3,000 feet up into the mountains, into Canada, but we did not exit the train in Canada, so you do not need your passports for this particular tour. You stay on the train, and it turns around and it comes back down. The video honestly does not do it justice. The scenery is just spectacular. It's breathtaking from what you can see, and it's amazing. This railroad was built in the 1800s to assist the gold miners getting up into the Yukon Territory for the gold rush. Truly amazing.
And they literally just carved it out of the side of the mountains, because as you look down, all of a sudden it just drops right into the valley there where the water is. But it's just amazing that they did most of this by hand back then, and the grit and fortitude of the men who made this was unbelievable.
Yes. In the beginning of this video, we didn't really talk about it, but there is a graveyard for a lot of the gold rush men that died in the winters up in the Yukon Territory. That is another tour that you can take while you're in Skagway. That was a nice tour. We did that the last time. We would recommend that one also. This particular tour, we booked through our cruise line, and we would suggest that you probably book it through your cruise line, because the tour company that we usually use to do our own independent tours did not offer it. So our thoughts are that the cruise lines purchase so many of the tickets, it's hard for other tour companies to get tickets for the White Pass Rail tour.
Yeah, and if you need a link, it'll be in the description, and you can go down and put your ship in and what dates you're going to be, and see what excursions that you can get from
Shore Excursion Group. That's the independent tour group that we use for a lot of our tours. But like we said, this was not offered through them on this particular stop, so we did book it through the cruise line.
But yeah, we shoot in 4K video, and it's just, after watching the video footage back, and it just doesn't, being there is always better anyway. but the quality of just seeing it and going through the clouds, which we'll be going through very soon, was just amazing.
And definitely make sure you dress in layers, because down at sea level it was very warm when we got on the train, but by the time we got up to the 3,000 foot elevation, it was quite chilly. So definitely dress in layers so that if you are going to stand outside on the viewing platforms, which we did for a lot of the train ride, it gets very chilly and somewhat windy. So we would definitely recommend that.
And the viewing platforms are at the front of every car and the rear of every, as you can see, we're right behind the locomotive. But every viewing platform, every car has its own viewing platforms. So it's pretty cool how, and people come in and out, and people don't spend a lot of time out there. If there are a lot of people come in and give other people a chance to stand out on the viewing platform. But that is literally a cloud on a mountain. And it just really is beautiful. And when you come down through here, you look down the pass, you can see the ships in port. You can see them all. It's just breathtaking. Right down the valley.
And each car, like Mike was saying, each car has 2 viewing platforms, so one on the front and one on the back, so that there's plenty of room for people that are in the car to take turns and have a chance to view from the outside. You cannot go from car to car, as that is somewhat dangerous, so they did not allow anyone to move from car to car. So whatever car you're in, you need to stay there on one of the viewing platforms.
I'd never been outside with the clouds the way we were here. It was pretty interesting. It felt like little pieces of ice hitting your skin. And there's the view back to right down the valley where the cruise ships are. And it is just breathtaking, just breathtaking. There it is. You can see some of the ships there in port.
Yeah, it's an amazing view.
But back to the clouds, if you literally can feel the ice crystals that forms the clouds on your hands. I wasn't wearing gloves at that point, and you literally can feel it in there. I've never felt anything like it before. So it's just pretty interesting how I've never, you're literally up in the clouds. So, and it was sunny when we left.
It was very sunny when we left, when we were at sea level. And by the time we got all the way up to the Yukon territory, it was very cloudy, overcast,
cold.
cold. Viewing was a little bit more difficult because of the clouds that were hanging around. Now this is another tour that's coming back. So they're on their way down. So we had to stop because there is only one railway that actually goes up into the Yukon territory. So we had to wait for this train to pass before we could go ahead and maneuver onto that track.
So everybody was waving at each other. It's pretty cool. Very cool. And they also dug tunnels through the middle of these mountains. It was, the feat of what these men did was unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
Right, there was 2 tunnels that we went through. The one, I believe, is a lot older than the second one. The second one is newer because of, you'll see this one suspension bridge that was over the valley that actually collapsed in, 1969.
Yeah.
So in 1969, that bridge collapsed, and so they needed to build something, and they decided not to build another suspension bridge. They built another tunnel through the mountain. But that's going to be in a little bit. you'll see it on our way down. You can see it a lot better, and you'll see where it actually broke.
Well, yeah, that's just clouds. Literally, you know, you really can't see very well. There's the bridge there that Kathleen was just talking about. You can see at the very end, it's just gone.
It's collapsed. And we'll put some sound up because the narrator did discuss when this bridge was built, how it was built, and the fortitude of the men that actually built that suspension bridge, what they had to go through, and then also when it collapsed. But there's a lot of different areas on this tour. There's about 5 different areas that they've named. Dead Horse Gulch, which is a deep canyon where thousands of the pack animals perished during the gold rush. Bridal Veil Falls, which is very picturesque. It shows a bunch of waterfalls coming down from the side of the mountain right in front of the train.
And this is the tunnel that they last made in the late 60s here to keep the railroad open. But the train does get very close to the walls of the tunnel.
It is, it's quite tight.
And this is a smaller gauge train. The width of the wheels are smaller than a normal train. So I think it's 1/3 smaller than a normal train would be. But I'll tell you one thing, the ride on this train was excellent.
It was very smooth. So the whole ride itself is 40 miles. So you go 20 miles up into the mountain, and then you turn around and you come back down the 20 miles. And here we're getting close to the border.
Once again, that's a cloud in the middle of the, it's hazy as anything, but it's just the clouds, the clouds are very low hanging.
And here we're coming up to the 4 flags that stand all the time at the summit where you cross from the United States into Canada. So it's the United States flag, the Alaskan flag, Canadian flag, the Yukon Territory flag.
And it's pretty cool because if you stay on one side of the car, you see one thing on the way up and then you see the opposite on the way down. You're basically just going up, turning around, and then coming back down. So this is the bridge again that collapsed. But it's very nice that you don't miss anything because one side you're going up, you see one thing, and on the way down you see the other.
Right, so it doesn't matter what side of the train you're on. You'll get that view either on your way up or on your way down. So you don't need to worry about trying to move to the other side of the train, being afraid to miss something. So this is a little bit of a better view of the suspension bridge.
The steel cantilever was built during the winter of 1900 into 1901. Workers often endured temperatures as low as 50 degrees and wind speeds as high as 80 miles per hour, all with precious few hours of daylight to work with. The workers would hang from the bridge by ropes during construction, relying on their lanterns light during the dark hours. They were required to rotate in and out of warming huts every 45 minutes just to stay alive. This bridge is part of the reason White Pass was designated an international historic civil engineering.
But it was amazing that they worked all winter long to even put the bridge up. It was 40 minutes on and 40 minutes off and hanging by ropes. That's just amazing.
And you have to remember, being that far north, in the winter, there's not much daylight.
It's awesome. In that case, my name's Johnny. I was your narrator. If you didn't like it, my name's Kevin. I want to come up here and thank y'all in person for making this a possibility for us tour guides. We are only able to operate 125 years later because you decided to ride the train. So in turn, us tour guides get the coolest office we've ever worked in our lives. We're extremely grateful for all y'all for that. I hope you have a great cruise. Enjoy your time in Skagway. And on behalf of all of us here at White Pass and Yukon Route Railroad, thanks for riding the rails with us, y'all. Have a great vacation.
Thank you.
He was very good. I think he said he was from Tennessee. And this is what we ran into when we got off the train. Long line.
Very long line to get back onto the shuttle to go back to the ship. Now, technically, you can walk, but there was a very significant rock slide right near where our ship was docked and the Holland American ship. So because of that, there's construction, I believe, trying to, shore up the side of that mountain to hopefully prevent further rock slides. But because of that, they have concrete barriers.
Yeah, and you have to take a tram in order to get back to the ship. Well, thank you for watching.
Please like and subscribe.
Cat and Mike, the ship set sail on a journey that'll never fail.